What's up, everybody? We'd just like to welcome you to the Elevate podcast with Pastor Kevin and Pastor Joseph.
A Christian podcast where we talk about Christian lifestyle, current events, relationships, and a whole lot of Jesus. What's up, y'all? We want to welcome you back to the Elevate podcast. My name is Kevin, and I'm here with my roommate.
Me, Joseph. What's up, bro?
What's up, bro? Long time
I thought
no
you were going to
talk.
introduce me.
I did. I said my roommate, and
Oh,
then
and-
that was your chance to say hi.
Okay, well, hello, everybody.
Mercy. What? We always talk about having smooth transitions when we open up.
No, smooth intros. We need to practice our intros, I think.
We do need to practice our intros. It'll get better over time.
Hopefully.
Hopefully the people have some mercy on us and give us some grace.
But that was funny.
Sure it was, bro. If it makes you feel good, that's what matters, man.
It does, so I'm okay.
All right, but how are you doing, man?
You know, Kevin, you know how I'm doing. We literally drove over here together. We live together.
Yep.
Um,
We had some bonding time last night.
Yeah, we did. We were watching Man of Steel, which was good. It was a good movie. I'm not gonna lie. I forgot how good it actually was because
Mhm.
usually you just watch Justice League or with Death of Superman,
Mhm.
but that one's definitely underrated in the DC comics, even though none of them are actually really good.
Yeah, I know. It to me the phenomenon of like how DC is so bad compared to like the Marvel movies is ridiculous to
It
me.
makes me sad because for me, when I was younger, right, the DC comics and the animation was much better, right?
Mhm.
The animated TV series, I really enjoyed those when I was a kid. But the Marvel movies, man, nowadays are just so good.
And you know, before I used to say like, oh yeah, DC has their TV shows like on point, you know, but now with like the release of like WandaVision and all these new superhero movies that Marvel's gonna be or shows that Marvel's gonna be putting out.
I'm
it's
excited
just-
for the Falcon and the Winter Soldier one.
Yeah.
That comes out next week or in 2 weeks, I
Something
think.
like that.
Yeah, I'm excited for that.
So we'll see what happens, man. But hey, you know what? It's a good day. Our Lakers won.
They did. They actually look good again. They were literally the worst team in basketball for like 2 weeks, and that was
Yep.
very frustrating. But Dennis Schroeder's back.
Yep.
You know,
Missed him.
we need him, especially with the AD out, and you know the Nets look good though.
Yep.
The Nets look really
They
really
do.
good.
I still say though, if AD's healthy and he's back 100%, even I say like 85% at least, I think we'll be okay.
Yeah, I think we should be able to repeat. We're that good.
Yep. Don't quote me, people, because it'll be June before we know it, and they'll be like, "You see, Kevin, you were wrong."
Yeah, and man, we gave the Warriors a big whooping, man. 77-43 at halftime.
Yeah.
I love how the tide has changed, man, because it was so frustrating.
It was hard to be a Laker fan for a while.
especially when you're up in the Bay Area, man. Oh, we're so good. Steph, Clay, and KD, they're so good. Yeah, they were amazing. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, they were great.
But you guys won 2 rings, right? We have what, 17?
Yep.
Get on our level, right?
Yep. Yeah, we'll be okay.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of greatness to come. But hey, man, today we're talking about friendships.
Friendships.
It's a good time. Last time we talked about, you know, community, the importance of community, and we figured we'd continue the conversation, right, to discuss how friendships actually, you know, has a lot to do with community.
Am I your friend today, Kevin, or today's a bad day?
No, today. So you know how like your dad talked about like the friendship meter,
Yeah.
right? So I think from now on, whenever we get together, right, that'll be the thing that people can look out for is where
Yes.
are we in our friendship meter?
Yes, that's going to be a lot of fun. We can every day every time we record, I'm going to put how I feel about you before the podcast. That way people know.
Yep.
Right now, where am I at with you? Like 100? Like always?
Yeah, you were solid 80. Solid 80. I think that's good. That's not bad. That's passing.
Dude, now you're at 60, bro. You're like at 90, but now you're definitely down at 60. I don't just leave me alone.
Oh my goodness. Hey, but we still got to get this podcast going,
All right,
right?
let's finish this up.
All right.
'Cause
All
I
right.
don't want to talk to you the rest of the day.
Well, so we got to talk about how we're talking about friendships, right? But I feel like we can't go into this conversation about friendships without actually discussing like the importance of friendship.
Is friendship important? Dude, it's extremely important, man. I think personally in my life,
Mm-hmm.
friendships are huge. I find them extremely valuable for myself, and I actually enjoy being other people's friends as well. It brings, meaning into my life at
Mm.
times,
I bring you meaning, bro.
No, not you. I wasn't pointing at you. This was a moment of, you know, whatever this is. I wasn't really, it was generalizing. There you go.
Okay,
Yes.
it's okay. It's
No,
okay. I know what you really meant to
no,
say.
you
Thanks,
don't.
bro.
But yeah, you're so bad. But yeah, I think friendships are super important. I've always found that when you have individuals in your life who you can trust, who you know are going to be there for you, who you're going to be able to have share those very vulnerable moments. You need people like that.
hmm
Because if not, what are you going to do? You're just going to keep it all in, and we know that's not healthy.
hmm I think I probably consider my friendships in definitely my top uh one of my top spots in my most important relationships. Simply because I think for myself, I love my family and they will forever, by default, right? They get the top priority. But in terms of the way I have built my friendships are like my friends are practically family to me. And I know that's not the case for a lot of people, but I know for a fact that like when it comes to me and my guys, they're my brothers,
Mm.
and so because of that, we've gone through so much, and I think we've been there through all like the good times, the bad times. They went through those times with me where it was really difficult to be my friend, to get through that. And you know what? Through thick and thin, we're still going. We're all scattered, but I think to me that just shows like the test of a friendship,
Yeah.
right? How you guys can be scattered all over the place. You may not be talking to each other every single day, but if you guys are still able to maintain that friendship, like that's what's so important.
No, definitely, and I get what you mean that they eventually become family. At least for me, my parents and my brother, they're always gonna be number one, regardless, right? But there are individuals who make their way into that very close
hmm
second category, and it takes a long time, and it's a lot to get there, right? You have to go through moments that are heartbreaking and heart wrenching, and you have to have these very deep and conversation at times, right? And the thing is, you don't even realize you're having it with this individual,
hmm
especially if it's over a long period of time. Just because the way friendships are nowadays, it's I don't know. When I think about friendships, Kevin, do you think how we make friends now has changed drastically, or has it always been the same?
Ooh.
Because with social media and everything, how I don't know, like sometimes I get confused. I'm like, is this person really my friend?
Mm,
Is like I think about my like in on Instagram, right? Though it's a little bit more condensed than at
mhm,
Facebook, right? Like, are all these individuals actually my friends? Like,
mhm.
what do you think?
The In short, I don't think so. Like,
Okay.
Imma be honest, right?
Yeah.
Because here's man, I think that's a really good question, and the reason why I wanna say no is because you gotta define for me, it's like, again, if we're talking about the importance of friendship, I feel like there are different types of friends
Mm.
for and different levels of friendship.
Mm. What
You
are,
know?
what are the type of friends?
So well, before I even talk about the types of friends, because though there are those friends that you are, again, those friends that you are constantly around, those
Mm.
friends that you stay in touch with the most, those that you want to know how they're doing up to date over and over and over again. But then there are those friends who you talk to like once every 3 months, once
Mm-hmm.
every 6 months, once a
Yeah.
year, even, right?
Yeah.
And and then there's the level of friendships where, okay, I'm super close to this person, but we only talk a few times a year. But when we talk, we like literally unload and we talk about everything. But then there are those like surface level friends who you don't necessarily um, know everything about, but you do enjoy their company. You enjoy hanging out with them from time to time. So I think it just depends
Yeah.
on the level of friendship that you've developed with that person, the trust that you have. I think
Mm.
that's the big one. I think the biggest one is how much trust have you developed with that person.
Definitely. No, that's so good. That's a great way to put it with when it comes to friendships. Because at least with me, I'm very similar in that way of thinking. And I think about my own friend group, right? And I think, okay, or the number one, you have the flaker, right? The
hmm
guy who's not always there. He like you're gonna plan something and they're not around.
Everybody has that friend who never like. always says like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna be there." And
I'm
then like
down.
last minute is
Yeah.
like, "Sorry, dude, I can't. Something came
And
up."
then
And
you
they're
go,
literally just at
exactly.
home doing nothing.
It's literally the most frustrating thing ever. Because then you look at their location and you're like, oh, maybe they're out and they're just at home, right?
Or what they end up doing is like, "Oh, sorry, you know what? Someone else invited me to do something," and then they end up going with that friend instead. And you're like, "Dude, come on."
Oh, that happens to you?
I guess I'm the
I'm
only
just
one.
kidding, man.
I
I'm
guess
just
I'm the
kidding.
only
That's
one.
definitely happened to me before. But you also have what's next? You have the flake,
You have the trier.
the trier.
You have the trier, the one that seems to put in the most work in the friendship.
Okay,
And I think in a sense, like because they're the ones constantly trying, they're the glue that holds the friendship together.
okay. That's good. Then you got
The
you have
nomad,
the nomad. You know who that is? That's like your Angel Pena right there, bro.
bruh.
That's literally how I see that. That's literally Angel in a nutshell.
Shout out Angel.
Shout out to my boy Angel. I
Oh
love you.
man. No, yeah. So the nomad's basically the one that's like he's like a part of the friend group, right? But he also like is almost never around either, and he just
Yes.
comes back every once in a while to
And
check
you're like,
in.
oh, Angel, you're here. Let's go.
Like yeah, no, that's funny because that Angel was literally that same guy for my friend group too.
Oh yeah. I think he is that person,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yep.
And then last but not least, you have your
Your
alphas.
alpha. Yep.
Are you an alpha, Kevin?
I
No,
feel
you're
like it
not.
depends. I feel like it depends on the friendship. I think in some cases I can say that I am, but I think most of the time for me I'm just not worried about being the alpha. I think for me I'd rather be the glue. I'd rather be the one that holds everything together.
All right.
Because it yeah, I think and the reason why I say that is because I know that's me.
Yeah. Because
I'm
I was gonna ask you, I'm like, what type of friend are you? What do you think you are?
I'm definitely the trier, dude. And I'm not, and so it's interesting though, because there's also a difference between a high maintenance friend and a low maintenance friend within the same like
Yes.
ideology.
Yeah.
A high maintenance friend is the one that requires the most amount of attention from a friend group. And then there's a low maintenance friend who doesn't require much.
Mm-hmm.
And so in my case, I'm definitely the trier. And I knew I was the trier because my friends called me out on it.
Mm.
So Jose and Akil, they're like my two best friends. Akil's in Arizona, Jose's up in the Napa Valley. And I remember this one time, and it actually happened right when you got here to San Diego, where we started hanging out. I was trying to get you acclimated or whatever. And throughout this you're so annoying.
I was your best friend, bro.
Throughout
I am
the
your best friend.
throughout the
That's how you
process,
know, because you didn't need them.
okay, calm down, bro. During this time, I just got so busy and I wasn't reaching out as much. And I remember this one
Because you were
time
hanging out with
they
me.
literally had like this council meeting when like we sat down. Like obviously I was over FaceTime and they're like, bro, like you haven't called us as much. And the funny thing is they're not the triers, so they were like, I felt like calling you, but I mean you weren't the one reaching out to me, so I was like, we'll talk eventually.
So would you say that means the trier cares about the relationship more?
I think it depends. Because I wouldn't necessarily completely agree with that because I know, think about it, like the guys had enough like care to actually bring it up.
Okay.
When originally that's not who they are. They're not the kind of the kind of people that are gonna be like this, Like that's
Yeah.
when I called them out. I was like, you guys are so sensitive. Like he's like, you guys. He's like, this is how I know you guys actually appreciate me because I the moment I stop putting in the work, everything falls apart. And they're like, dude, what happened?
That's funny.
So that's me, bro.
That's
But
good.
what about you? What kind of friend are you?
Bro, I'm a crappy friend.
Okay.
I'm just
G-
kidding. I'm not
Uh,
a
I'm sorry. I should have just said like, no, bro, you're not a crappy friend. I didn't even
Yeah, you
challenge that. I
didn't
was like,
even.
okay,
This is when you have to be like, nah, Joseph, you're a great friend. What's wrong with you?
you're a great friend, bro.
Man, too late, bro. No, I think I'm a mix. Um, I think the dynamic of my friend group is definitely a little bit different. I think with my best friends, like we're talking about low maintenance and high maintenance.
Yeah.
I think for sure when I was in college, I was definitely a high maintenance with my close friends, right? Just
Mhm.
with my best friends. But now definitely much more low maintenance, and it's taken me a while to get there,
Mhm.
right? I still it took me that when I first moved down here, right? This idea of like, okay, I can't reach out to them. I can't just go and open their door and be like, hey, bro, let's sit down and let's talk, right?
Mhm.
And you had to change it. Now it's called part of adulting, right? And
Yeah.
figuring yourself out and understanding you can't always be there for them because their lives are busier and
Mhm.
everything has changed. So in that sense, I definitely think that that has helped me become
Mhm.
a more low maintenance friend.
Yeah.
But I don't know when it comes to like trying and alpha and all of that. I think I don't know. I think I'm just a mixture of everything. I
Mm.
don't think there's one thing per se that I am that.
Mm.
Just because I look at my friends with Gary and Aaron and Darian, and we all kind of do the same thing. Like we all switch. Like nothing's ever the same.
Mhm.
It
I
just
hike
depends
you
on the.
fe I hike you feel that, like, you're also the trier, though.
Yeah, I think I am. I think I am, but I'm trying to move away from that.
Mm.
Just because I realize that hey, our lives are different now.
Mhm.
I definitely cared a lot. I always do, but I knew they cared just as much as I
Yeah.
do. So that's why I don't think I'm the trier because I
Mm.
know they cared just as much as
Yeah.
I do, right?
Gotcha.
And that's where these terminologies come from because for me, trier was always like, oh, that person cares the most about the friendship,
Mm.
but in reality, that's not how I
Yeah.
view our friendships as.
Yeah, I got it. I got it. So here's what I find interesting then, and I maybe we can talk about this because obviously, like there are times where friendships go silent,
Yeah.
right? And that could either that will either determine like make or break the friendship. I feel like in cases where like things are just quiet. In your case, though, do you feel any moments of regret within your friendships?
Yeah, I definitely do. Um, it's hard thinking about those moments, right? Because you feel bad about it now, because you missed the moment, you missed the memory. I remember I was in college and I was arguing with one of my best friends, and I've been working on this, but sometimes I wanted my friends to live up to the standards that I had for them,
Mm, that's
especially my
real.
best friends.
Yeah.
I wanted that, right? Because at the end of the day, I thought what I wanted was the best lifestyle for them.
Mm,
But that's not always the case. And that's just part of who I am, right? Because sometimes I think I'm always right,
yeah.
right?
I can testify to that one.
um, and I was definitely it's been a process with that mindset at times, right? But yeah, and because of that, I let my arrogance get in the way,
Mm,
to the point where it was, I think I maybe lost 3 months of college with him,
mm,
and I lost moments, and I feel horrible about it now because I'm like, why? Just because of how I felt, and of course, it was both ways, right? Like he said some things as well, and I said some things that I lost some precious moments and times, and like to the point where, and I feel horrible for saying this, but like I said, we're not gonna hold back
yeah.
here, right? That I didn't even want to go celebrate his birthday with
Mm,
him.
dang.
And I think about those moments when when we're talking about this friendship podcast, it hurts, man. Like
Yeah.
it's deep because I'm like, how can I be so selfish when friendship is not supposed
Mhm,
to be that
exactly.
way? you know
Exactly.
like, how did I get to that point? Why did I think it was okay to get there?
I think that's what's so interesting about friendships, though, because literally, in order for you to go deeper, it requires you to give up yourself, and your concern is less about yourself, and it becomes more about the other person. And I think I can testify most of this because of the same experience that a similar experience I would say to yours is because I feel like in your friendship, there's always that moment. There's always something. There's always a moment of friction, a dark moment, or a dark spot in the history of your friendship that really can either bring you guys closer or can really tear the friendship apart.
Yeah, man. Because honestly, I didn't know if we were gonna get out of that
Yeah.
moment. Like, I looked and I was like, man, is this the end?
Yeah. Yeah, no, in my experience, I had that same thought. And it had a lot to do with this friend of mine. And I think it's very similar to what you were saying, right? About having a certain standard for this friend that I wanted him to live up to. But I also felt like I was holding on to an old version of him.
Wow. Mhm.
And I feel like a lot of the times what ends up happening is when two people grow, you realize, you know what, one person, if and especially when there's friction in the relationship, you have to ask yourselves, have you guys grown together in your friendship? Because I feel like that's the biggest difference. The biggest difference is people realize too late that they haven't been growing together, and instead they've grown further apart. And in my case, my so there was a year in the time that my friend started up at college, and when I was still in high school. So I lost a year of time in our friendship, and we weren't really talking all that much. I move up to PUC, and during that time, I noticed that he was a different person
Mhm.
than the person that I knew a year ago.
Yeah.
And at some point, there was that defining moment where I asked, "Is this even worth it?"
And
It-
that's a hard question, bro. Like that is such a difficult question. And imagine how much self-reflection has to go, how much has to happen for you to get to that point
exactly.
of you whether to decide, is this friendship really worth it?
Yeah. I think I asked myself in that moment, like, do I want to try? Because there was a moment in time where I was up to here, and I think he did something that just set me over the top. And I remember like laying in bed in the middle of the night, and I was just asking God, like, God, I don't want to continue to do this. I told God straight up, like, God, I'm tired.
Mhm.
I've done so much, and I feel like I'm done. And God God's funny, cuz and I haven't actually told you this yet, but I think it was like maybe a week later after I had this conversation with God, might have been 2 weeks, I don't remember, but I get a phone call in the middle of the night, and this friend calls me to meet him out somewhere on the field.
Mhm.
And we started talking, and he was out of it. He was not in a good space. This is probably like the darkest moment in his life. And he said, "I'm sorry for what I've been doing to you. I'm sorry for not appreciating you enough. You challenged me to be better.
Mm.
You challenged me to be the best version of myself.
Mm.
And I know I haven't been doing that. Um, but thank you for sticking by me."
Dang, that's wow.
That was the moment where I was like, I can't give up on this.
Yeah.
Because I also asked, and I think this was the defining thing in that in the whole aspect of this friendship was, do I see this person in my life 5 years from now? Do I see this person 10 years from now? And in that moment, I realized, like, this is a friendship that I don't want to let go of.
No, I think for me it was the same thing, bro. For me it was a little different though because I finally came to my senses, and I realized how much I love this person.
Mm,
First off, I realized how much, the memories, the experiences, the moments, everything, right? And it all culminates into one, right? And you get so overwhelmed with emotion,
mm.
right? And I'm sure that's how you felt that night, right?
Oh
Like
yeah, bro.
like the emotions were
We are both
just,
crying, dude. It was
exactly. And you realize in that moment that you're like, man, like who cares anymore? Like why do we focus on the little things, right?
mm,
Well, yeah, of course they're important sometimes, right? But it doesn't matter. Like this person actually means something to me. This person has been there for me. This person has done so much for me. He's been selfless to me as well. And why do I act here being so
mm.
selfish?
Yeah.
And when those and man, I remember when we finally made up, man. We cried, bro, and
Mm.
I hated it because I hate crying, and you
Yeah.
know that. Like
Yeah.
I'm not like all about that, but we cried, bro, and we hugged it out, and man, like God, I thank God every day. I'm like, thank you for letting us have that moment, and we didn't go our
Mhm.
separate ways, right? Because to be honest, he's one of those friends who's gonna be a part of my life for the rest of my life,
Mhm.
and I think with yours is the same,
Absolutely.
right? Like they're gonna be whether it the good, the bad, the ugly, it doesn't matter.
They'll be
It
through it.
takes those moments, and you're like, this is somebody who I know is gonna be part of my life
Yeah.
forever, right?
So here's my question then. Is that the goal? Because I feel for myself, and I'm asking this question when I already know my own answer to it.
Yeah.
But is that the goal to have in friendships?
I think that's what you're looking for, right? Because we all know that there's quantitative and qualitative
Yep.
relationships and friendships, right? Like there's only going to be a few qualitative friendships that you're going
Hmm.
to have, those close people, those best friends. But I think that you're definitely searching, your journey is to find those individuals that you can share those moments
Yeah,
with.
absolutely. I because and that's a really good point because I see in my case now, I think I'm done looking for more best friends.
Mm,
I think I'm at a point where if I find more friends and just because of my personality, I'm gonna be making friends along the way and there will be a lot of people that I'll end up meeting who I will say like, oh yeah, this is my friend. But those people that I currently consider my best friends, the people that I go to,
like me.
stop looking at me like that. But those people that I consider the closest people that I want to hold on to for the rest of my life, I think I found them. And for me, it's enough. Because again, there's that difference, right? Qualitative, I don't need a whole lot of friends
Hmm.
as long as I have this group, this quantity. Or no, I don't need the quantity, I need the
The
quality
quality.
of friends.
Yes. Um, no, I agree with you, bro. And I think one thing when I look at my relationships, and I agree, I'm in the same boat. I truly believe I have found my best friends that I'm gonna take for the rest of my life. And no, don't smile. Like you're not even there. Like don't worry.
Oh,
I
you
don't
could
worry.
have
I know
fooled me,
you're good.
man. You could have fooled me.
And that's great. And I'm super excited, right? Because it's been a long time. It's been years, and just to have that feeling is really good. And not to say
Hmm.
things can't change, and I'm sure like maybe that's all up to God and his hands and the people I meet. But I know for sure that I'm so grateful
Yeah.
to God. And when I was thinking about those moments and when I was in that space where I didn't know what to do with my friend, I couldn't help but think, I think I was in forgot what class what we were taking, right? But I think I was in preaching class that year. We were in preaching class that year. And we had to write our sermons, and I remember that I was like just trying to find something, and I came into the story of like Jesus at Gethsemane,
Mm.
right? And I just think about Jesus and his life and his ministry and Jesus was the most selfless friend ever.
Yeah.
And think about how many times his friends, his so-called friends, his disciples, because you would call your disciple your
Your
friends,
friends,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
They were his homies, they were his ride or dies.
Yes. And think about how many times they failed him. And that in the time of need, when Jesus really needed them
Hmm.
the most, in that moment in Gethsemane, that they failed him.
The funny thing is like they had one job. Literally Jesus told them, "Sit here and pray while I go out there to talk to my father," right?
Mm.
Their job was to stay awake. That was their job. Stay awake. And they couldn't even do that. And I think what's so interesting about the Jesus model is he knew that they would fail.
Mm.
He knew that they would mess up. He knew that they would have these moments of weaknesses. And what's so interesting is they didn't even have the full picture of who Jesus was. And they
No.
were the closest people to Jesus. They had this false idea of what it was. And even when he had already died and resurrected, they asked, like, yo, we're ready. Like, let's go out and conquer.
Yeah.
And Jesus is like, you still don't get it.
It's it's crazy, man, right? And you know, I think about the disciples, and here's the thing: Jesus never held that against them,
Mm-hmm.
right? He never
Absolutely.
did. And this is the worst part, I think, in my opinion, was the fact that the disciples would constantly tell them, right? Everybody was fighting to be Jesus's
Best friend.
best friend, right?
Kind of
We got
like,
we got the brothers Lightning and Thunder, right? And then you got Peter, and then you have all these people. All they're trying to do is
like,
say, Jesus, let me be at your side. Like
yep.
we understand
Who's gonna be the
who's
greatest?
gonna be the greatest, right? And they're trying to say, let me be the best friend, bestest friend, right? And they still failed. Like they
Mhm.
literally told them, "We will be there for you," but they're not there for you.
Yep. Peter was like, "These guys may bounce on you, but I never will."
And he literally denied him 3 times.
Yep.
Like, it's just amazing, but I think when we look at Jesus and we see that he gave us the perfect
Yeah.
model
Model.
because he was selfless. He he gave everything for his friends, his people, even people he didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
Like he gave his life,
Yeah.
the ultimate sacrifice. You know, like in the movies, right? In those big moments where like, are you gonna give your life for your friend, right? If something's
Yeah.
happening to them,
You gotta act like I feel like that's it.
right?
That's
Yeah,
is this person so close to you when you're like I feel like when that person is in the valley of decision, right? Those friends, those people that are having difficulties with their friendships, like, are you willing to do that? Is that the level of friendship that you have with that person?
I think that's what we're trying to achieve. I think that's what we're trying to
Yeah.
achieve. That it doesn't matter, right? Like what's happening in your life, in your own life, but you understand that I want to give my life up for that person,
Mm,
just like Jesus gave his life for us.
yeah. Absolutely. I think the thing that I see of this whole thing is again, right? Jesus' friends didn't fully understand him, but like you said, right? He didn't hold that against them. And the best part is that your friends don't necessarily need to completely understand you, but they do need to have your best interest at heart. I think that's the determining factor of your friendship is after you've developed that trust. Like number one is like, do you trust that person? But do you also know that they have your best interest at heart? Because I know for a fact that there were times where I told my friends I was gonna do something and they're like, don't do it. And I was like, you're right. I know you're right, but I'm gonna do it anyway. And even in the midst of that utter stupidity
Yeah.
of trying to hear a good voice of reason and denying it, having your friends still be there because you're their ultimate concern. Because again, that's selfless friendship right there.
Yeah.
That's what determines, I feel like that's the importance of friendship. That's the reason why we see it in Jesus. He doesn't hold their imperfections or their shortcomings against them. He knows that they're going to mess up, but I feel like that's the thing that ends up bringing them closer.
Mm-hmm. It's what brought me closer, bro. It's what helped. It's what helped me. It's what has helped me, and I know it's gonna happen in the future as
Yeah,
well.
exactly.
And don't worry, Kev. I got your best interest, bro. I'm
I-
here.
Thanks, bro. I have your best interest too.
All right,
I
sure.
got you.
But nah, dude, definitely. I feel like, man, Jesus is the ultimate model when it comes to friendship, and we can take that with us whenever. And when we're having those moments, right? If we're thinking whether a friend is worth it, if we're trying to create that relationship with somebody, and we're trying to say, hey, I want you to be like you're trying to gauge whether or not there's somebody who you think you can trust fully. Just look at Jesus, man, and we can always see that that is the model that we have to
Hmm.
follow.
Absolutely. And I think that's a good spot to end, man. I think it's a good challenge to give to people is when you're in that moment, you're wondering like, hey, do I continue this friendship? Is this friendship even worth it? Like, what is this friendship doing for me? It it's not about what the friendship is doing for you. It's how you're best serving that person and trying to
Mm-hmm.
bring out the best out of them because it's not it's about being a good friend, not expecting anything in return,
Mm-hmm.
but regardless, like if you're a good friend, you will have good friends back.
Yes.
And I think that's a good takeaway and a challenge for everyone is hey, if you're struggling with your friendships, just look to Jesus.
Yeah.
Just look to Jesus.
Amen, brother.
That's good, bro.
All right. But first, before we finish, we have the giveaway. The
Yes.
giveaway, as you all know, we still want a name for this podcast, and because I don't want the Elevate podcast, Kevin does. I don't know.
Hey man, look, at the end of the day,
You just don't want to give $25 away from your own pocket. I think that's the reason you want to keep it. But remember, if you guys give us a great name, Kevin will send you a 25 Amazon gift card and get to use that. So send us, something awesome that we can
so-
change.
or you know what, if you want to be awesome and gracious and if you already think that the Elevate podcast is a great name, you know what, so be it. That would be awesome. But we do want to get your feedback. We do want to know what you think. If you guys have a name for our podcast, feel free to DM us on Instagram at Elevate the Name. Feel free to email us at our Gmail account, elevatesdministry
Or
at
you can text
gmail.com.
Kevin at 818. What's the rest of your number?
Hey, man, I'm
Oh, no,
gonna.
you're 323,
Yeah,
huh?
I'm 323. Bro,
Ah,
my phone's gonna start blowing. Who am I kidding? No one's gonna call me.
nobody's going to call you,
No one's gonna
bro.
call me.
You're not that popular.
It's okay. It's okay.
Actually, everybody.
Remember, it's about qualitative friendships,
right,
not
there
quantitative
you go.
friendships.
There
There we
you
go.
go.
That's a good takeaway right there.
And for everybody, next week, we're going to be having the story
That
of Kevin and I.
the moment that we have all been waiting for.
Betrayal.
What do you do when your friend or your friend has betrayed you, or you
Man.
think your friend has betrayed you?
Dun, dun, dun. You
So tune
did
in next
betray me,
time.
bro.
No, you can't give it away. You gotta let the people wait in suspense for the next week, bro. So again, we thank you so much. This was the Elevate Podcast. My name is Kevin, and this was my roommate.
Joseph, you're so bad, bro. You're so bad. That's all you had to say. And
Thank
we're
you.
just thank you guys for
Thank
coming.
you so much, guys. We'll see you next time.